What up, random rockers and Schmoevillians and Schmoedown fans? It's time for Schmoedown Rocks, and, man, this is good. No, all we need is a wild berry flavor. Speaking of wild berries, for anyone who had the audacity to actually make the bracket possible that I would have probably made, you have my empathy, sympathy, or whatever. Definitely not apathy, I'll tell you that, because I probably would have done the same thing and went for the upset of the entire year. Mostly because, let's all face it, we wanted that party. We wanted that party at Spectacular. And we all wanted to be there. And that would have happened. I mean, that may as well have been the American dream. If they were to actually have gotten titles. But no, that's never good. We knew that wasn't going to happen. But what makes it worse is the whole situation with JTE has put him out completely. And now, instead of Evil Geniuses moving forward from what was essentially the final matchup of round one, which was this past Tuesday, and then we have round two, and then we're starting off with round two with the Paddington 2, Matt Ashley and Lorenzo, first name I'm blanking, both having worked together on What the Flick and some other big movie YouTube channel. That's the one thing about the Schmoedown that's also helpful, is that for others who want better ideas for movie references and stuff, this actually helps with that as well. Hell, in turn, that's kind of how I got to Double Toasted and Real Rejects and things like that. And so on and so forth. Hold on. Okay. Alright. So, anyways, that's kind of, as far as the Wild Berries thing is concerned, the whole thing Christian had to do what he had to do. It wasn't exactly entirely like the Team Heroes thing, because at least it was still Team Heroes at its core, and at least Schnepp at the time was there. Rest in peace. And at least, like, Robert Byer Burnett had been a part of that team for a while, and so on and so forth, but which nobody even cares about Team Heroes much anymore, and they're not even hardly around, and, well, for one thing, Schnepp ain't around, and Robert Burnett ain't going to be involved in it as much anymore, given that his kind of went heel in the series, and was supposed to be part of a team, but that team fell through, and for managing, and it wouldn't have worked out for him anyway, so it just kind of happened to work itself out that for the Shire Wolves to have won for that, because it would have been Rachel Cushing and your guy. Action Army represent. Schmoedown rundown. Oh, Brad Gilmore. Anyway. Yeah, the whole thing with this, because I really wanted the Wild Berries to make it all I wanted to be one of the few people who made the greatest upset in the world, and everyone else who might have wanted to jump along, I feel sorry for you, man. And plus, that whole thing, the way it just went about, luck was part of it, but also skill, and there is some skill to be had, and it just sucks with Matt McCougan and them weren't able to, but I did like the fact that at least I knew for sure Ricky was going to go along with it, and I was hoping he would, and he did, and he actually, not so much managing as he's just kind of really just there to kind of control the chaos, or at least the thing about the Wild Berries that makes them so great, or at least worth watching, whether they win or lose. Or at least you want them, you have this feeling you want them to win, and even when they lose, there's still something fun about them, even though that really wasn't the case as much this time around, and plus it was Ricky Aberg was bringing more of the usual Wild Berry stuff onto the Wild Berries. More so this time around. Trying to seem like it was forced, but not really. I mean, it worked still. I mean, I was able to get involved. It was they just have this certain energy to them as a team, and yeah, I would say, I hate to say it, but Elliot Dewberry is unfortunately kind of as far as this team's concerned, he has become the weaker half of this team lately, as opposed to Makuga. Even though I'm not even entirely sure about that either. Hell, Elliot would have gotten the Denzel Washington question, and at least they would have gotten at least a few more points. So it wouldn't have been an all-out bloodbath that it turned into, and that's what sucked. And I was hoping it wouldn't be a bloodbath, but most people were betting on that, and so far round one was nothing but there wasn't hardly anything for upsets at all, which is now making round two even more interesting, even though I expected the follow-up match to at least end result be more that, of which we'll get into that in a minute. And the only thing I'm glad about it throughout this whole thing is that at least it sucks that moving forward it won't be Evil Geniuses, because Josh Tapia, aka Little Evil JTE, of former tag team champ from what was the Patriots and what was of the faction of the Lions Den, just had a car accident and is trying to recover from it, and he's not able to continue and compete for the foreseeable future. Even though that didn't exactly stop Mara, but whatever, man. I mean, if it was that severe, then I can't say much on that, because she was in one, and she, with her meds and how sick she was between that and Rachel Cushing, we had a good Interita match. But as far as I'm concerned, it's still one of the most intense matchups that I would definitely recommend people who haven't seen Schmoedown in general to watch. And it's a shame that the Wildberries didn't go the way I would have liked, but I mean, we could dream. Us Wildberries fans can dream, I guess. At least Hayberg's nice, and I kind of knew he'd fit in anyway, because technically ETC was kind of sort of a stepping stone to what Wildberries would be. Same you could say with what Makuga had with Finn stock with Mega Powers, but speaking of that, I thought it was supposed to be the Bobby Gucci personality of Tom Dagnino when it came to Who's the Boss managing. I don't know when that changed, but that's why it's kind of funny how that dynamic's working out with that. And I kind of would like to see, for Action Army reasons, or whatever, and all that stuff. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to that matchup when that happens. But right now, speaking of the stuff for round two, them versus Cinematics will be interesting. It's going to be tough because and those two other, what makes up the Cinemaniacs with Matt Nost, and Matt Nost, the way he goes about it's kind of reminding me of how I am with shit. At least just if I was in that situation, I probably would have done the same shit. I've just been like, fuck, I just want to play. I don't give a shit when it came to that round one matchup. But anyway, it's funny how I'm talking about everything else but Wildberries now. It's so funny how what this match has done to me. It's like, makes me sad. Makes me a sad berry too. And even Ricky's was right. All the questions that they got on that Evil Geniuses got in their round two, even I knew Makuga would have gotten them. And it was just it just felt like such bullshit because it wasn't really earned. Like, it didn't seem like by that point they were really having to try, given the questions were that easy, and then Kevin Smith never having been on the wheel. But yeah, those questions felt like maybe Evil Geniuses would have earned their namesake, I guess, at the time, by giving questions that were that difficult that most people wouldn't have answered. If it was the other way around between that and trying to think of when it came to that 80s category, when that was eventually spun. But oh well. But on to the stuff with round 2, which was Odd Couple versus the Paddington 2, and that was actually good. That was a damn good matchup. I mean, there were some few things here and there, certain calls that might have been BS here and there, but I mean, it worked itself out to where, at least by the 5-pointer ordeal, they may as well have used it, I guess. Paddington 2 may as well have used it, even though it wasn't probably going to amount to anything. That's dealing with how Andraco is about trying to be fair and stuff, but in such a kind of way that comes off to an douchey. I'm not going to lie, that is kind of annoying how that happened. And they did used it anyway. And it was pointless. But, the one for challenge from Odd Couple was kind of, with Andraco, was ridiculous. Even, I think, more ridiculous. I don't know which one was worse. The one challenge from Andraco brought about through Odd Couple, or what, but it was a really nice, tight-knit neck-and-neck match, and I really did enjoy, and I definitely was expecting to hopefully enjoy this, given the build-up between both of those matches leading into, from round 1 leading into this match. And I was kind of banking on Odd Couple, because that's just, even in terms of just team chemistry, even with their being managed by Roxy Stryer, man, moving forward, I do think at least in comparison to Cinemaniacs, Odd Couple seems to be the one that more likely will work, because they actually seem to try to be more cohesive, even when they come in through their entrances, as opposed to Cinemaniacs, which I feel like that as a whole, as a whole team, as opposed to them in trivia, would fall flat on their face a little bit. At least in terms of getting Matt Nost involved, though it seems he's starting to go on board. We'll see how they handle that in the next matchup, but good luck having that beat out Who's the Boss, but especially given that you're up against a former champ and a man who still, I believe, has potential to be a future champ in Ben Bateman. Still probably could have it with Andrew Guy, but, he's kind of missing out on his honest-to-God opportunities to actually do so this year because of what had happened, because he didn't want to wind up ruining his own record that he has been going through with his one storyline that he already had, and he didn't want to ruin that, and plus he wanted to work with Rachel and Rob Burnett, I guess, and that didn't happen because of Shire Wolves win. Oh well. I mean, whatever, but what can you do? At least Ben is trying to give us something here in Action Army to go off of. Gotta give him that at least. But so pretty much in that matchup, I'm still gonna go for Who's the Boss, even though I'm more for Emma Fife as as a manager, which poor Jay Washington not being able to. Though I do kind of wonder if maybe Stacey Howard and there might be a future potential Viper Squad thing for a team with Stacey Howard and Ethan Irwin, which I think might actually be pretty cool. I mean, it could have a very similar thing to Take the Cannoli if that were to happen. That would be kind of cool moving forward. But anyways, as far as the match is concerned, I'm glad Odd Couple did pull out the win. I do want to see Paddington 2 moving forward far more than the teams they were part of separately. Don't get me wrong, MODOK wasn't bad, but I think Gray Drake hasn't been bringing it as much as Matt Etchity has on that team, and now all of a sudden he's more of the weak link in comparison to Alonzo, or if I'm not even getting his name right or something. But it turns out, by the way, with the whole thing now that it's no longer Evil Geniuses, is now Harris Brothers. Not to be apparently confused with whatever wrestling team there is, because it's Bon Harris bringing in his brother Jonathan or something, which I have no idea anything about him, which brings a mystery going up against Take the Cannoli. But I do hope that isn't if that works in Harris Brothers' favor, it's going to kind of piss me off, because I do think after what the performance Taken only had in round 1 against the Self-Righteous Brothers, which I wouldn't mind that team moving forward if Critical Acclaim weren't to move forward. Heck, I would like it even better if Jeremy Hewitt, or Hook, or whatever he pronounced his last name as, if he and even Johnny LaQuista end up kind of becoming part of the Howling Commandos, I would be all for it. And once again, adding to that possible wet dream for Administrator Chris Clark in the Schmoedown page and all that, you might as well just add Robert Meyer Burnett in there for inner geekdom purposes, if not just an extra manager, just cuz. And an extra nice little mouthpiece, just to make the Howling Commandos an even more interesting team. Or at least the Growling Commandos or something. Growl, growl. Though I'm not sure. Either way would be whatever happens with that championship match is going to be interesting between those two. Don't know. I think that's going to be Spectacular, but I'm not sure if they're going to do something before Spectacular with this championship matchup, and then whoever wins that is going to face whoever in the Spectacular, I think is how that's going to go. Still waiting on figuring that, and it's going to be a short singles match. It's probably going to take up most of November, and then we'll probably get some stuff happening on the side, see what happens, and whoever pretty well wins is going to make it to the Spectacular, and the other person isn't, which sucks for them, and then it just means, which is going to really suck even more for Roca, more so or less. But, Bibbs needs to, I guess, have this win to prove something, but yet Roca needs to have this win and then go into the Spectacular to retain that title just to prove that he can, because he was not able to do that when he faced Riley in their third matchup. Though, and the Horseman thing, I wish would have turned out a lot better, but it seems that this whole Anarchy thing has definitely shaken things up with that. And sadly, it seems that now Horsemen are championship-less at the moment, but we'll see how Founding Fathers do against Corruption. That'll be interesting. That's the one matchup of this entire thing that's actually probably a bigger deal in terms of storylines moving forward. We'll see how that goes, because, Founding Fathers didn't really sweat much on that one, but Corruption definitely had to really bring it and prove something. Even though I knew they were going to eventually, and I was hoping they would, because even though Devon Stewart or Devon Stewart, or whatever, I'll be on Facebook friends with him now or something, I don't know. Now, I did so post the match, so it was kind of a different story then, but hopefully whatever they do move forward, whether they continue with Inky in the Brain, whether he continues Inky in the Brain or does something with Kingsman, I'm not sure. We'll see what happens with that. That dual personality thing seems a little ridiculous if you ask me, but I find Kingsman to be sort of like a British wannabe Action. I was almost half tempted to see if them and Action would come together and do something interesting, but that ain't happening. Or at least they're not worth Action's time, because they're not really winning all that much compared to Action. Singles or teams, since for that matter. But whatever. And the only other thing I'd like to mention, since now, at this point, you may want to stop the video, because I'm going to probably start talking about... I'm going to put this hat back on. I'm done my little sad moment with Wildberries. I dealt with my sadberry moment. So, alright. Here we go. You may want... The reason why you have to click off is because we're talking about a Patreon exclusive match that maybe some people still haven't seen, even though that aren't patrons that want to see it, and you don't want to be spoiled. Well, then put $1 in for the Schmoedown Patreon, so you could get a chance to see matches like the Harloff and Ellis match, which I finally got to see this past Saturday, even though it was 2 weeks ago when it was out in September. And this matchup is pretty good. Of course, they needed to make it a championship caliber match, especially given that both both, or at least in terms of how many rounds. Like, they go all 5 rounds that you do if you are in a championship caliber match. And I'd love to see, and I kind of figured, like, the two of them, and the thing is, it's more the banter between the two of them. That was just kind of awesome, funny as well, and the usual ridiculous, just out of nowhere fart noises that Christian likes to do all the time sometimes, especially in Collider Live. It's kind of funny. His little... I can't even do it right. Forget it. That's 2 blocks away. And, yeah, I really enjoyed... I mean, round 1 was nice. I kind of figured... Both of them have faced him, or at least one of them managed to beat him. The difference is that Merle wasn't even at his best, nor was Christian when they fought each other. Fought each other when it came to that, and Merle was more in his prime when he fought Ellis, and Ellis put up a match, so it was kind of here nor there. But the thing is, Christian eventually, as it went down, they at least managed to get it all the way to round 5. And it just kind of is a shame that Ellis wasn't able to get enough on the board to be able to move forward. He lost his 2-pointer. Ironically, Christian knew that one. Got his 3-pointer, which apparently Christian didn't know, but luckily Mark did. And got his 5-pointer, but didn't get his 5-pointer, which even I knew the 5-pointer. It felt easy to me. I mean, it's probably different being under the lights and everything when it comes to that kind of stuff, but they're kind of pros at it, though it has been a while since they've kind of stepped back from it, from doing that and just being announcers. Like, among the top 3 of announcers, him, them two, and, of course, Ken Knapsack. And that match being called by former team champ and current team champs, Sam Levine and Rachel Cushing, which was nice. Kind of ironic in that regard. And him wearing above the line shirt to suck up to Sam Levine coming out, Christian did. And also, speaking of Action Army, though that was kind of weird, having him wear the above the line shirt to suck up to Sam while being brought out with members of Action Army. Was kind of weird and interesting, given that they had to face each other just to even get to those belts to the first place at one point. No, it's just interesting. Like, at least Action Army gets some love with that match, since we didn't get much of that with the matches we've currently had. So that was nice. Well, at least as far as I was concerned, that was nice. And of course, it's more the Darth Harloff, not X Factor or Commissioner thing, whatever. You know. That usually goes, because the Darth Harloff thing was just kind of his more heel-ish ego kind of thing, but not really. If anything, likable heel. But yeah, it worked. I mean, it was fine. Ellis also coming out in the one famous suit he used to come out with, which was wearing the devil costume thing, except without the horns, which Harloff came out with, and it was weird, but whatever. With those interests, they didn't really have any pre-match interviews or whatnot, but they did have the post-match interview, which was kind of fun, and I do like the idea of a future Patreon match between the two again, like on Hell Off LS2, but this time it's an Iron Man match style, which is basically just round 1-esque style questioning up until 2 minutes into it, where it becomes the buzzer round of a championship matchup. That's kind of what the style is done. So it's more so or less an Iron Man match is kind of the free-for-all. And then final 2 minutes turns into buzzer round. But doing that consecutively up until buzzer round, where you got to really make sure you do it right, or else it's interesting. It's going to be interesting to see that see that for a Patreon matchup. And it's going to be probably kind of long, too. Here and there, I guess. Especially if they do choose sort of long, I guess. It's a 30 minutes. Iron matches usually take 30 minutes. Anyway, so that'll be interesting since they already did a normal championship style level matchup between the two. If they were to go at it as champs. So that worked out fine. I'd say as far as the $1 tier for that, that's worth it. I mean, it's usually a $10 when it actually comes out. It's just 2 weeks later. It's available to every Patreon under 10. So, I don't get as much perks, but at least I get to see these things eventually. So, I figured I'd talk about it now. And yeah, Harloff pretty well won that. It's kind of sort of a given that he was more fresher in competition, fresher at it, on the fresh side of things with it. In comparison to Ellis, who hadn't been for I guess between the two of them, one of them, Harloff had more time involved in playing the matchups lately in comparison to Ellis. Not sure on that one, but I enjoyed that matchup. I enjoyed finally getting a chance to see that on Patreon, and despite round one ending in round one of the Anarchy tournament kind of coming to a kind of bummer end as far as my end and anyone who for some reason decided to choose Wild Bears before they got busted with that bracket. And no, their brackets, if it ain't busted already by that point, it's going to be busted. So it might have already been busted when it came to the round 2, at least. Startup match, which I would have voted for Odd Couple anyway, so there's that. But yeah, what did you guys think of the matchup? What did you guys think of finally getting to see the Patreon for all you $1 tiers, $1 to $5 tier patrons? Like myself, what did you think of that matchup? What did you think of what's already happening with Anarchy? How round 1 ended? How round 2 began? What did y'all think of that? Leave a comment below. Let me know. As always, guys, keep it random, keep it real, keep it rocking. I'll see you in the next video. If you smell what the movie trivia Schmoedown is cooking.